The busiest weekend of the season so far. It's Friday. We're having fun.
Yeah.
4 games, which is awesome, coming your way on Saturday nights. Loaded.
All sorts of fun stuff. Let's start with the Philadelphia Wings. They're the last team to play their first game of the year. It isn't an easy one. They open the season in Georgia against the Swarm tomorrow night. It'll be an early season test for some of the marquee American players for Philadelphia, like Matt Rambo and Trevor Baptiste, both entering their second year in the NLL.
New England will be looking to build on the momentum of the win in Toronto when they head out to Rushland tomorrow night. The Black Wolves were led by Callum Crawford in Week 2's season-opening win. He had a game-high 7 points.
Meanwhile, the Warriors lived up to the nickname in their opener Week 1. They got into it with the Roughnecks quite a few times in that loss to Calgary. They played a feisty, physical game against the defending champs. This week, they get the expansion New York Riptide coming out west. New York, remember, scored just 4 goals in their first game in franchise history, a loss to Halifax.
The 4th and final game of Week 3, Toronto heading out to San Diego to play the Seals. New faces made quite the first impression for San Diego in their opening game last week. That too. Wes Berg, who San Diego traded for this offseason, put up a team-high 6 points in the loss. All right, so we came over to the chairs to take a seat here, relax for a second. Well, not really, because we're going to do some over-unders for each one of these games.
You got to step up your game when it's over-unders.
It's true. All right, we'll start with Philly and Georgia. We're going to go goal differential over-under here.
Yep.
So we're going to set it at 6.5.
For Georgia.
Well, I guess for Georgia, if that's the way you want to go.
For Georgia.
6.5 goal differential between these two teams by how much someone wins or loses. Over under.
Which I think has got to be probably pretty close to the spread, because you look at what Georgia did in Week 1 to Rochester. An expansion team, yes, but an expansion team that of the two, I think we had some higher expectations for the Nighthawks this year than we do for the Riptide. And Georgia goes to their place and beats them by 10?
Yeah.
Holding them to 4 goals? That's where this becomes really interesting. I like Philly's offense, I think, more than Rochester. They still have a lot to prove in that instance, so I think I'm going to go over.
You're going over?
I'm going over.
No
I
way.
got Georgia by like 7.
Philly was the king of close games last year. That's like all they played
but
were
I'm
1,
still going
2,
over.
3 goal games. They didn't win many of those games, but they were still competitive in all those games, no matter the team, no matter if there was a great team or kind of a stinky team. I also like them bringing in Corey Vittorelli over the offseason. Matt Rambo obviously getting all sorts of accolades.
But it's their first game.
As well. That's okay.
It's only their first game.
So Georgia hasn't seen them yet. I know they didn't see Rochester either, but
they don't need to see anybody. You got the Thompsons on your team.
I like Philly to really compete in this game. I think they're going to be better this year, and I think this is going to be a statement they make this week, because they've had, 2 weeks to be waiting for everybody. They're fresh. They're ready to go. Big cat, Kevin Crowley. I love it. It's going to be great.
I think Georgia hangs like 17 goals on Philly.
It could be like 17-12, and I still win the under. So there.
17-10.
All right, moving on. New England and Saskatchewan, and we talked about this a lot this week, I believe, with Joe Resseterritz and Callum Crawford. Their combination, them playing together now, getting a full offseason in together, full training camp. Their combined points, setting it 8.5, feels a little low.
Does feel a little low. They combined for 12 points last
Toronto.
week in the win against Toronto. They only scored 12 goals overall. I think this game could be another one where, like, first team 12-13 wins it, because we saw what Saskatchewan did in that opener. It was a 9-8 game with Colorado. Yeah. So I'm going to go under.
Okay.
Just because I think it's a low-scoring game. I think both these teams are going to struggle to get into the 12, 13, 14 goal range, and New England's got some other options too that can put up some points. So the 12 points that they combined for last week, I think, is kind of the higher end if you're only going to score 12 goals. So I'll go slightly under.
You know, and for Colorado, Ryan Lee and McLaughlin scored 8 points combined. That might be another good reference there to think about what you can do against Saskatchewan. Just one game. Really quickly, so far playing together, Crawford and Joey Rez have combined for more than 8.5 points twice. out of, I think it's like 4, 5, 6 games thus far.
All right, so like a third of the time.
I originally was go under. I'm going to go with the over.
You're going
now.
over?
I think they're going to
Okay.
lean on those guys a little bit against a team like Saskatchewan.
I think it's somewhere in that 8 to 10 range. I just don't.
Actually,
I'm
3
gonna go
times.
Slightly under.
I wasn't counting this season. 3 times they've combined for more than that because they have 12 last week.
All right.
So I think against Toronto, that was a good start for them. I think they keep it going. I think they're going to go over.
What's our next one?
New York, Vancouver. Amount of goals combined scored between both teams, 18.5. As we know, both these teams struggled to score in week 1. Over under, 18.5 combined.
Rooting for the under when it comes to total goals scored is really hard, but I'm going to go under.
Yeah.
I just don't have. I guess somebody's got to score, but I think it's just like a 10-8 game.
Keep in mind, they both allowed 12, so you have to also factor the defenses in here against teams they were playing, of course. But
New York, though, they
no Kieran McCardle this week.
They struggle. Like, they didn't have any continuity offensively.
Yeah,
I mean, I know they ran into a good goalie in Halifax, but that offense did not look like it was up to the snuff in the NLL. It's going to take them a while to get going.
Vancouver last year scored 11 times they scored 10 or fewer goals last year, which doesn't bode well. I think they'll be a little bit better this year just out of continuity and playing with each other, but I'm also taking the under this one. I'm thinking it's going to be like a 9-8 game.
Yeah.
All right. Finally, Toronto, San Diego. Should be a pretty good one out there in the West Coast.
Yeah.
Tom Schreiber points, keeping this one simple, 3.5. Going over or under?
I think he's due for a good game.
Yeah, zero goals, 3 assists in week 1.
In week 1, so I'll go over. I just quickly over.
I'm also with you there. Over 3 times in 2018, he had less than 3.5. So that wasn't many times.
No,
I mean,
3 out of 18. I mean, you're in pretty good territory there.
So Captain America, over 3.5 is what we're both saying against San Diego. For more, there's Davey. Search on demand right now for Davey Emela's breakdown of the fantastic Week 1 performance of Lyle and Miles Thompson, as Travis told you all, and how they worked that 2-man game so well. They combined for 12 points in that 14-4 season opening win over Rochester.
That's why I'm saying over the 6.5.